Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to talk about more theories that are actually plausible. I enjoyed talking about the last few that were plausible, honestly because they make me feel less crazy for having talked about them. So we only have two instead of the normal three. I just couldn't come up with a third one for today that was not super mainstream. I don't want to go into the super mainstream like, oh, John is actually Rhaegar, but I don't like those type of theories because they're super well known. So in today we're going to start with Euron Greyjoy is actually working with the others to bring about the apocalypse or the end times. In the books, he's more about he's got more depth in the books. In the show, he's like a knockoff Jack Sparrow, and he's about raiding, and that's about it. Where in the books, he's more about dark magic, blood rituals, ancient lore. And in the Forsaken chapter that was kind of put out as a preview for the Winds of Winter, we learned that through the eyes of his brother, who's actually he was captured by Euron, he uses warlocks, priests, sorceresses as slaves, as sacrifices for his rituals. He experimented with, the warlocks of Karth, the Shade of the Evening, I believe it was called. He experiments with that type of stuff, and that's a hallucinogenic drink. He wears Valyrian steel armor, which is something incredibly rare. Going back to that, he allegedly, from all the lore that I've found, made it to the ruins of Old Valyria and was just like, okay, cool, I'm the only one who made it out. Must suck to suck for everybody else. And in the books, he's seeking a dragon horde called Dragonbinder, which is said it's not like the horn that can bring down the wall. It's completely different. It's called Dragonbinder, and it's said to control dragons at the life of the user. But like, if that's the way Euron wants to go, that's the way Euron's gonna go, and that's just it. He has visions that are just apocalyptic. Again, in the Forsaken chapter, his brother is held prisoner and drugged just repeatedly, and has visions of a storm of blood and fire sweeping across the world, Euron on the Iron Throne, Euron as a god looming above everyone, and this is the most pirate thing ever, ships made of bones and sails made of human skin, which is just the most metal pirate shit I've ever heard. And yes, that's that's what Euron wants. That's what Euron's about. So again, in the books, he's a lot different than he is portrayed in the show, where the show he's like a shitty Jack Sparrow. Like, if you haven't watched the show to completion, I don't want to spoil it for you, but he's killed by like a one-armed guy. So it's not exactly the same as the books, where the guy was walking in Old Valyria and was like, oh, hey, nice place. So he's heading east and north, and in the books, Euron sends ships to Old Town, where magical knowledge is hoarded, and to Slaver's Bay to steal a dragon. From what it sounds like, oh god, what is his name? Oberyn Martell. It sounds like Oberyn Martell and Euron Greyjoy would have been just boys at this point. So he's doing all that. He's seeking forbidden knowledge all over the world. Because he's a pirate, he's on a boat, he's everywhere. So he's seeking children of the forest, blood mages from Valyria, all that nonsense. And from what I'm reading on some of the Facebook pages and Reddit posts, some even think he's going to try to go beyond the wall to find more magic from the others, basically. And some believe that he's actually the human counterpart for the Night King, just as Bran is tied to the magical defense of Westeros, Euron may be tied to the magical offense against Westeros, which it just, like I said, this is an actual theory that, despite not being like official, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot more sense than I'm never going to let this go. The Varys is a merman theory. Like, that is a crazy ass backwards theory. This has a lot going for it and would be super interesting if it was actually true, but this is actually plausible just for what's going on. A lot of it is you just have to just pretend, just that the show never existed. That would help everyone out when it comes to all of Game of Thrones lore ever. So the next one, thank God, is based almost entirely off the books. I am going to lean on the show for examples of this, for some of the context and some of the examples, but I'm not really going to look at the books for any of this. But it's the Night's King was actually Stark. Yes, it's kind of mainstream, but not as mainstream as who Jon Snow's parents are. So I'm going to cover this one. So in the book, the Night's King was a legendary figure in Westeros. He was allegedly, like, this is my main channel where it's crime, and I have to say allegedly. He was the 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, who fell in love with a woman described as having skin as white as the moon and eyes as blue as the stars. Clearly a White Walker, and it almost seems as if the White Walkers in the show they were based off this description. So that's going to be the example for that, because that's perfectly what they were in the show. He allegedly brought her back to the Night Fort, married her, they ruled the Night's Watch, and just committed extremely fucked up shit. So why it's plausible, the North remembers, but the history is suppressed. So Bran and Old Nan, who I regard as like the lore book of Westeros or the North, because it seems like everything goes back to her, which is hilarious. They speak of the Night's King, and it said that he's a Stark, and the Night's Watch and the Starks erased his name because he was one of them. And the theory goes, a younger brother of the King of the North, a bastard of the Stark line, a legitimate Stark that just happened to, come to power in the Night's Watch, then turn dark. The last one is a great example because, well, I guess the second and the third were great examples. So you'd see this all the time where, going back to the show for an example, who is the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch? It's from House Mormont. So somebody who has importance or houses in the North can come to power in the Night's Watch. But in the grand scheme, anyone can come to power in the Night's Watch. So it's totally legitimate that a Stark would take the black and then just be good at whatever he's doing and get to that level of Lord Commander. Benjen is the first Ranger, so he's making his way downtown, if you will. So it's totally plausible. And then the bastard, Jon's not necessarily a bastard, but he ended up at the wall. Just saying. So that's a possibility as well. The Night Fort was the Stark stronghold, allegedly. The Night Fort was the first castle on the wall and the seat of the Lord Commander for thousands of years. It contains strange, magical architecture, huge weirwood gate, the Black Gate, mysterious tunnels. I believe was it the show? Might have been the show. Or the books, I don't even know. It's all running together in my head at this point. There's weird tunnels and shit like that. It was the Night's King domain, and it had Stark architecture all over it. It's likely that whoever ruled it, especially in the early years, came from Winterfell, which again leads to it was probably a Stark or had something to do with the Starks. The Stark bloodline is deeply tied to the wall. Let me take a drink of coffee real quick. So, obviously the wall is connected to the Starks. One of the Starks built the damn thing, so, I mean, he had help, but he ran the builder of damn near everything in Westeros. So that means the wall and the watch were Stark institutions. Building a wall and having to man it, maybe two different things, but we'll go with this. So, let's see here. I messed up my script already. I took a drink and lost it. Okay. It says the Starks I wouldn't say the Starks are drawn to it. They send their sons there. In most houses, you would look at who's there that's anything to do with the main house. Benjen, great example. He is not the older brother. He's just a younger brother, and in all honesty, unless they can say, hey, we're going to marry you to these people way over there, they don't really have much use for younger sons. Like, unless it was the House Karstark situation, which doesn't exactly happen all the time. So it's kind of like their ancestral burden, the Starks in the wall. Bran the Builder, founder of House Stark, also helped build the wall, so he's the founder of the wall. Does that mean he's also the founder of the Watch? I don't think so, but could be. So, if the Night's King took a White Walker woman as his queen and fathered children of ice and shadow, it hints that the Stark. I gotta scroll up. Hints that it's a Stark White Walker hybrid lineage, which is, I would say, magical. The blood of the, like, the first men mixed with whatever magical shit the White Walkers have. Yeah, I would call that super unnatural. Dean and Sam would definitely come kill that. That's how unnatural it is. Their union would be part of what gave rise to the others, or at least strengthened the others. And now, years and years and years and years and years and years and years later, when the White Walkers come, the Starks find themselves smack dab right in the middle of it. I mean, this is where I'm going to play devil's advocate for this one. Is it plausible? Sure. Is it just so happened that the North is where the Starks rule, so things kind of have to go through the Starks? I think that's more plausible than this being their, like, ancestral original sin type of situation. Yeah, I'm gonna just go with that. So, do I think it's plausible? Yes, I think it's more plausible than, again, anyone being a merman. Varys, Tyrion, Littlefinger, anyone being a merman. This is a better theory than that. But this one's not as plausible, I think, as the first one. But that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Give the channel a like and subscribe. I will try to keep putting out more content on this page than the main page. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Peace.